time, the announcement was going to come out of the Conservative Party's headquarters as to who the leader of their party is, who's the winner of the contest. And it's a racing certainty that it's going to be Mary Elizabeth Truss, best known as Liz Truss, who is 47 years of age. Yeah, she's going to be the next First Lord of the Treasury. Rishi Sunak's going to be the runner-up. Now, one of the difficulties for her is, of course, most members of the Conservative Party, Conservative members of Parliament, voted for Rishi. So those who know them best, who work with them every day, prefer Rishi. But the mass membership has plumped for Liz Truss. The bookies are saying there's a 95% chance Liz is going to win. She's going to win by over 6%. So it'll be a real upset if this turns out to be wrong. So she's going to take over. And then she and Boris Johnson are going to go to Balmoral in Aberdeenshire. That's the Queen's private residence in Scotland, where she spends every August and September. And Boris Johnson will go and have a private audience with her and tender his resignation. His last prime ministerial advice to Her Britannic Majesty would be that she then appoint Liz Truss as prime minister. But then there's often scintilla temporis between the outgoing prime minister resigning and the new one being appointed. But that's often 10 minutes driving from Downing Street to Buckingham Palace. But if Boris has to go up on his own, and then a phone call from Balmoral has to go to London, and Liz Truss has to get the next flight to Aberdeen, and then drive to Balmoral, that could be a few hours. So what if they go up together rather than go through this preposterous rigmarole of waiting for the Queen to make up her mind? But whose fingers on the nuclear button for the time when there is no prime minister? You go back to the time of Asquith, there were a few days when there was an interregnum. So Liz Truss is taking over, the UK's third woman as prime minister, and it means that two of the last three prime ministers will have been female. So a woman prime minister is now becoming routine and just unremarkable. Many people think that's a good thing, and it'll just be easier for each subsequent woman taking over. I suspect she won't appoint Rishi Sunak to a cabinet. If he was offered a place, he'd probably have to decline. Remember, he said that her plan to deal with fuel price rises was electoral suicide. See, she said she's got a new plan. It'll be out within a week of becoming prime minister. Well, why hasn't she told us in advance? Is it because she doesn't have a plan, or it's unworkable, or something? She has been very cunning in this leadership campaign. It's just simply telling the Tory blue rinse what they want to hear. And it's obviously worked for her because it's virtually sure that she's going to win. Now, there's another scenario, and well, this eventuality doesn't take up much of my mind space. How about what if Rishi Sunak takes over? Will he appoint Liz Truss to his cabinet? I suspect he won't. The problem with not appointing a rival to the cabinet is he or she is then out there in the backbenches, possibly constantly bad-mouthing you. But I think the wise thing to do as the loser is to just take it with good grace, at least initially, and shut up and don't be a focus for opposition yet. Wait till there's a critical mass of people discontent. Now, taking over now is a bit of a poisoned chalice, with a recession possibly in the offing, with high inflation, with this war in the Ukraine, with public services creaking, and on and on. The Conservative Party 10% adrift in the opinion polls, 10 percentage points adrift, I should say. Perhaps it's a good one for Rishi not to get, because if the Conservative Party loses the forthcoming general election, which must be held by January 2025, then he can say, well, you should have chosen me last time, and he can come in and take over and lead the Conservatives back to office. Now, there are a number of problems with that. Remember, Jeremy Hunt was the runner-up to Boris Johnson, and he came last this time. Another thing is that the Conservatives, having lost an election, you usually don't come back the next time. It has to be at least 2 elections before you come back. So the things are looking pretty difficult for the Conservative Party. Remember, the Conservatives' majority was so big last time and Labour performed so poorly, it's difficult for Labour to win outright the next Westminster election. Only twice in the past 100 years has a party gained as enough as Labour would need to gain in order to win the next election outright. And those would be 1945, that Labour landslide, and 1997, another Labour landslide. Right, so we shall soon find out. I think Liz Truss will be the same on Ukraine as Boris Johnson. Remember, she has been foreign secretary, so this really has been her area. She's going to have difficulties with the economy, although the suits in the city have told me that inflation is going to slow down next year, but it'll still be bad, from 10% down to 5%. That's still painful, just not as horrendous as it is currently. I'm not sure what she's going to do about the National Health Service. Boris Johnson had various pledges about recruiting so many doctors and nurses. And was doing quite well, but not quite on course to meet his target. Likewise, the police did recruit more. Police are worried there's going to be rising crime this winter because of economic hardship. But it could be that they're public sector workers. They're unhappy with the way they've been treated. You know, that their salary has been eroded by inflation for a decade. And perhaps they're briefing because they fed up with the Conservatives, want to bring them down. We look like we're going to have rail strikes. The barristers are on strike at the moment. Maybe teachers on strike. There might be more health service strikes. So it's going to be a winter of discontent. How is Liz Truss going to manage it? Anyone consider Liz Truss a viable candidate for PM as a mystery me? At least Sunak has a veneer of competence. Well, Liz Truss, I suppose she's capable. She's certainly experienced. She's about the right age. She's presentable. She's intelligent. She does have her qualities. You know, I like the idea of cutting taxation, but I just don't think it's wise in the current economic situation. The announcement will be 12:30 Greenwich Mean Time. So the Prime Minister will probably resign a few hours after that. And obviously, he's not actually legally obliged. There's nothing constitutional saying he has to advise the Queen to appoint Liz Truss, but that's just the convention, which is not a law. So a lot to learn in politics A level. So there's a number of major problems that she's going to face. Now, usually a new prime minister gets a honeymoon, a bit of a bounce in the opinion polls, which I suspect she will get, but probably not enough to put the Conservatives ahead of Labour. Labour have their largest lead for over 10 years. A recent recent opinion poll showed Labour on 13 percentage points ahead of the Conservatives. They've fallen back just slightly. So the thing to do would be called a snap election and give Liz Truss some sort of chance of being re-elected as prime minister like right now. But I don't think she's going to do that. People have said they pencil on the 5th of October 2023 for an early election. Things are going well after 4 years, sorry. You usually call an election then, because in the 5th year, one of things go really badly. But I don't see how October 2023 is going to be good. Remember what Harold Wilson, that celebrated Labour Prime Minister, said: a week is a long time in politics. So 13 months is a veritable eternity. A lot could happen. Maybe the economy will turn around. Ukraine will win that war. She'll somehow have some ingenious plan to magically improve the NHS. There might be some huge scandal which rocks the Labour Party. I don't know. Something might turn up. You'd be being a bit Macauberish there. Liz Truss, how long will she be Prime Minister for? I'm not sure. So does she represent any first as Prime Minister? I mean, with the first, maybe Secretary of State of Justice and Lord Chancellor to being Prime Minister. I can't think that she's a first apart from that. And the first Prime Minister to have been schooled in Canada, though Andrew Bonar Law was born there. Right, thank you so much for watching my channel. So please donate to me on PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. And I appreciate your comments during this live broadcast. I did one on Meghan Markle a few days ago, but for some reason it's never appeared on my channel. All right, goodbye, everyone.